Let me begin by thanking you for investing your time with me today. Abortion is a highly controversial, highly emotional topic. This presentation is not to challenge Roe v. Wade, but to inform you on various new state laws that allow late-term abortion. After learning the facts, I hope many of you will be inspired to work together to do whatever we can do to reverse this trend and reduce the number of abortions in America. Life, our inalienable right as laid forth by our Declaration of Independence. Whom should be allowed to infringe on our life or take our life from us? No one, of course. It is both illegal and immoral. We would never go down without a fight. We would do everything within our power to protect ourselves. But what about those who have no voice yet? What about the unborn who can't yet lay claim to their inalienable right to life? Ignorant, indifferent, or incensed. Many of us fall into one of these categories when it comes to the topic of abortion. But there is another category that 1 in 4 women find themselves in, and that category is included. If you or someone you know or love is that one who has had an abortion, please know that I'm not judging or discussing why women choose an abortion. I simply want to share, to inform, and to discuss how we can align our hearts, our minds, and will around this painful and divisive topic. Let's begin. Individual states have begun to ratify new laws that allow late-term abortions up until the moment a woman gives birth, legalizing the extinguishing of the child. While much of the attention of pro-life Americans is on Congress and the courts, it is a fact that the vast majority of our pro-life laws are enacted and enforced at the state level. Since 1992, when the Supreme Court clearly opened the door for the states to put legal limits on abortion in the decision Planned Parenthood versus Casey, Americans United for Life began sounding the alarm that a slow-moving shroud of darkness could envelop our nation unless states took action to pass limitations on abortion. So exactly what is occurring at the state level? New York recently passed a Reproductive Health Act that expands abortion rights to permit abortion without restrictions during the first 2 trimesters of pregnancy, legalize abortions in the 3rd trimester up until the moment of birth, in the absence of fetal viability or if the woman's life or health is determined to be at risk. Previously was just the woman's life. Health has been added, and it is not defined, so can be broadly interpreted. Decriminalize abortion, moving it from the state's criminal code to the public health code. Get rid of the legal protection afforded a baby who is born alive after an abortion. Eliminate any criminal liability if an abortionist causes the death of the mother while performing a dangerous late-term abortion. Allow other healthcare professionals, such as nurse practitioners and physician's assistants, to perform abortions. Shortly thereafter, a similar abortion law was sponsored in Virginia. Luckily, this bill failed. This is the standing ovation in the New York Senate when their late-term abortion bill passed. What type of society celebrates the legalization of taking a child's life, or infanticide? Unfortunately, history has shown us killing handicapped children was organized in Hitler's chancellery from 1939, targeting infants with idiocy and Mongolism, micro or hydrocephaly, malformed limbs, head, or spine, and palsies. This is Governor Ralph Northam, a pediatric neurologist, discussing the late-term abortion bill in Virginia.
When we talk about 3rd trimester abortions, these are done with the consent of obviously the mother, with the consent of the physicians, more than one physician, by the way. And it's done in cases where there may be severe deformities, there may be a fetus that's non-viable. So in this particular example, if a mother is in labor, I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother.
Another current example of the infanticide issue is the born alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act that failed to pass in the U.S. Senate 53 to 44 on February 25th. The bill would require doctors to use all means available to save the life of a child born alive after an attempted abortion. They must, it says, exercise the same degree of professional skill, care, and diligence to preserve the life and health of the child as they would for any other child born alive at the same gestational age. A shocking 19 states do not require any protection for babies born alive after botched abortions, while at least one other, New York, recently repealed its law requiring basic medical care for abortion survivors. Dr. Mildred Jefferson, the first African American woman to be accepted into Harvard's medical school, saw clearly and articulated plainly the slippery slope we have been on for decades. I'm at once a physician, a citizen, and a woman, and I am not willing to stand aside and allow this concept of expendable human lives to turn this great land of ours into just another exclusive reservation where only the perfect, the privileged, and the planned have a right to live. So where does your state stand? Listed from most protective of life to least, here is the ranking of the top and bottom individual states of our Union. Unrelated to the topic of legislation today, but an interesting fact. States with the lowest rate of abortion are Utah at 5%, South Dakota at 4%, and Wyoming at 2%. On the flip side, the highest percentages of abortions to pregnancies were the District of Columbia at 38%, New York at 33%, and New Jersey at 30%. Providing a window to the womb, ultrasound images give a mother the unique opportunity to see her living unborn child in real time. Ultrasound laws require abortion facilities to offer a pregnant mother the chance to view an ultrasound of her unborn child before an abortion is performed. Ultrasound saves babies. As an example, Focus on the Family, a pro-life organization based in Colorado Springs, has saved 400,000 babies in 12 years through grants for counseling and ultrasound services. 54% of abortion-minded women choose life after seeing an ultrasound image, hearing their baby's heartbeat, and talking with a counselor who helps them consider the support and alternatives available to them. Sex selection abortion is a form of prenatal discrimination that wages a war typically on unborn baby girls. In April 2013, a poll taken by the polling company found that 85% of respondents supported banning sex selection abortions. Currently, 12 states have enacted laws protecting unborn children from discrimination based on their sex, race, or genetic disability. It's interesting to note that North Dakota, Indiana, Louisiana, and Ohio's sex selection laws also ban abortions due to a potential genetic anomaly like Down syndrome. As you can see, some state legislatures continue to be successful in enacting laws that extend protections to unborn children, help their mothers, and reduce abortions. But as we've discussed, some do not. It's complicated, messy, and hard work, and has to be attempted 50 times in 50 states. Many of you might be asking, as did I, how on earth did we arrive here? Well, here's how. There were 2 U.S. Supreme Court decisions published on the same day, January 22, 1973. The first, Roe v. Wade, was the legal case in which abortion was upheld as legal in all 50 states. It also gave states limited powers to restrict abortions after viability, or 20 weeks. The decision that most Americans are not familiar with is the second one, Doe v. Bolton. This ruling allowed abortions for any reason, at any time, since consideration of the mother's health could include all factors: physical, emotional, psychological, familial, and the woman's age. Life-threatening conditions need not exist in order for a woman to get a 3rd trimester abortion. Another factor driving this sea change is the recent appointment of two conservative U.S. Supreme Court justices and Democrats gaining power in 2018 elections in governorships, state legislatures, and the U.S. House of Representatives. They want more state laws that protect women's right to abortion in the event Roe v. Wade is overturned. Since these decisions, 42 states have passed laws with some type of restriction on abortions after 20 to 24 weeks. 7 states didn't pass any laws limiting the timing of abortions, therefore allowing abortion up to birth. One state so far, New York, has passed a law allowing abortion until birth. Some other states are currently considering bills similar to New York. This is a moving target in 2019, with many states attempting laws on both sides of the debate. Vermont's House of Representatives recently voted 106 to 36 to pass their new abortion law that legalizes abortion at any stage of pregnancy for any reason. This law is more radical than New York's, as the bill's text contains a provision dehumanizing unborn children. A fertilized egg, embryo, or fetus shall not have independent rights under Vermont law. To these states, abortion is no longer a last resort, an option to be prevented, a difficult and sad choice that some women feel forced to make. Abortion is now a fundamental right, a social good so worth preserving that it is necessary to explicitly dehumanize living human beings to justify it. These late-term abortion laws will likely pass in both Vermont and Rhode Island in the near future. Equally important to us understanding what's happening at the state level is our awareness of the current debates on this topic on the national stage. It should be no surprise that these two positions could not be more polar opposite. The Women's Health Protection Act, or Abortion Without Limits Until Birth Act, is similar to the law passed in New York. This proposed federal statute will be brought to Congress again this year. If passed, it would invalidate virtually all federal and state limitations on abortion. The Pain-Capable Unborn Child Protection Act is a proposed federal ban on most abortions after 20 weeks, as there is substantial medical evidence that an unborn child is capable of experiencing pain by at least 20 weeks after fertilization. This law protects the lives of unborn children from the stage at which substantial medical evidence indicates that they are capable of feeling pain. The bill passed the House in October and is currently being blocked in the Senate. 46 years after Roe v. Wade, it does not violate any federal law to kill an unborn human being by abortion, with the consent of the mother, in any state, at any moment prior to live birth. And in the absence of a federal abortion laws are passed at the state level, and every state is different. While we as citizens will not be able to shape the debate in the Supreme Court, we can affect the outcome of these bills by informed voting of candidates at both the national and state level. But as we must be informed on a candidate's position, we should also be informed on a few vital statistics. Nearly 61 million children have died of abortion since the Supreme Court's 1973 Roe v. Wade ruling. Think of how this has changed the face of America today. All of those unborn babies. Whom would they have been? What would they have done? How many children would they have had? And during the year 2015, which are the most current statistics available, we know that 906,308 abortions were performed in the United States, which is equivalent to an average of approximately 100 babies aborted every hour of every day, all year long. Represents 19% of all pregnancies. The only good news is that the number of abortions annually has been declining since a high of 1.6 million in 1990, partially due to state laws restricting abortion and the increased use of ultrasound. 43.6% of abortions were for women who had at least one previous abortion. 45.3% of abortions were performed on women in their 20s. Abortions by week of gestation in 2015. 65.8% at 8 weeks or less, 25.7% between 9 and 13 weeks, 7.6% between 14 and 20 weeks, 1.3% greater than 21 weeks, or almost 12,000 babies. But these are numbers from 2015. The question is, how will these shocking new laws allowing late-term abortions impact these numbers and those babies at gestation of 14 weeks and beyond? In the U.S., 9 out of 10 abortions are elective. That is to say they are performed not for medical reasons, but because the baby is not wanted. One last data point. Of 198 countries in the world, only 4 allow abortion on demand until the baby is born: North Korea, China, Vietnam, and the U.S. 3 countries allow abortion until 24 weeks after fertilization. But the vast majority of countries in the world limit abortion to 20 weeks after conception or less. The leader of the movement to abolish the slave trade in Great Britain was William Wilberforce, the British politician and theologian who said, "You may choose to look the other way, but you can never again say that you did not know. Now that you know, can you choose to look the other way?" Help stand up for what is good, what is right, what is sacred: life. Join an organization such as the NRLC, founded in 1968, National Right to Life, the federation of 50 state Right to Life affiliates and more than 3,000 local chapters, is the nation's oldest and largest grassroots pro-life organization. Recognized as a flagship of the pro-life movement, the National Right to Life Committee works through legislation and education to protect innocent human life from abortion, infanticide, assisted suicide, and euthanasia. You can find an organization to join in every state on the national website. Let your voice be heard by attending Right to Life events, such as 2 of the largest national events. The NRLC National Convention for 2019 is July 5th and 6th in Charleston, South Carolina. Through large presentations and smaller breakout sessions, it's a great place to learn more about the Right to Life movement and how you might participate. The next March for Life in Washington, D.C. is Friday, January 24th, 2020. There will also be many state March for Life events that same weekend. For the January 2019 event in Washington, D.C., about 200,000 people attended. The highest turnout for this event was in 1990, when 700,000 pro-lifers participated. Wouldn't it be great if we could reach 1 million attendees in 2020? Educate yourself and then others on the current abortion landscape in your state and spread the news at meetings, events, and on social media. Reach out to your existing local state representatives, sign petitions, know and support your state and federal Right to Life candidates. The NRLC tracks the voting records on abortion legislation for each legislator in every state. Donate your time, talent, and money to help Right to Life organizations have the resources needed to save lives. Right to Life organizations also provide many local services to women that find themselves with an unwanted pregnancy, offering support to these mothers and alternatives to abortion. These include crisis pregnancy centers, adoption services, maternity homes, and post-abortion recovery. This is what life looks like for a premature baby born at 25 weeks. If you are moved today to make a difference in our state and our nation in the pro-life movement, please act quickly to join the cause, because you can affect change. And together, we can reduce the number of abortions in America.